Right now, there's a conversation happening in your head that never seems to stop. It's jumping from that thing you said 3 weeks ago to what you need to do tomorrow to that worst case scenario that probably won't even happen. And the faster it goes, the more trapped you feel. If you've ever felt like you're drowning in your own thoughts, unable to find the surface, you're not alone. Most people think racing thoughts are just part of life, something you have to endure. But what's actually happening in your mind right now is something specific, something that can be understood, and something that can be changed. Your mind is essentially running multiple conversations at once, and they're all demanding your attention at the same time. It's like being in a room where everyone is talking to you simultaneously. Worries about work, replaying conversations, planning tomorrow, wondering if you locked the door, thinking about that awkward thing from high school, all competing for your mental space. The problem isn't that you're thinking too much. The problem is that your thoughts have nowhere to go, so they just keep circling back, getting louder and more urgent each time. And the more they circle, the more trapped you feel inside your own head. Here's something fascinating about how your mind works. Your brain has this incredible ability to time travel, not literally, obviously, but mentally. Right now, you can think about what happened yesterday, what might happen next week, and what could go wrong next year, all within the same minute. But something goes wrong when your brain starts jumping around without any direction. Instead of helpful planning, you get stuck in what I call the what-if spiral. What if this happens? What if I mess up? What if they think I'm weird? What if I'm not prepared? Each question leads to another question, and before you know it, you're 5 steps deep into a scenario that started with something as simple as I have a meeting tomorrow. Your brain has a negativity bias. It's naturally wired to pay more attention to potential problems than potential good outcomes. So when your mind starts time traveling, it usually lands on, what if everything goes wrong? Most racing thoughts happen in words. They're like a radio that won't turn off, broadcasting constant commentary, questions, and concerns. When your mind is busy with all this internal chatter, it doesn't have space for anything else. Think about trying to read something important while there's a conversation happening in the background. You can't focus because your brain is trying to process both. That's exactly what happens with racing thoughts. The constant internal voice makes it nearly impossible to concentrate on what's actually happening right now. This is why you might find yourself reading the same sentence over and over, or why someone can be talking to you but you realize you haven't heard a word they said. Your mental bandwidth is already being used up by the racing thoughts, so there's no space left for anything else. And when bedtime comes, that internal radio just gets louder in the quiet. Your brain has this quirk. It remembers unfinished business much better than completed tasks. Every time you think, I need to call mom, or I should look into that thing, your brain files it away as unfinished business. And unfinished business keeps popping back up at the most inconvenient times. It's like having apps running in the background on your phone. Even when you're not actively using them, they're still there, using up battery and memory. Your unfinished thoughts work the same way. They keep running in the background, popping up as notifications throughout your day, and especially when you're trying to relax or sleep. The reason this happens is actually pretty smart. Your brain doesn't want you to forget important things, so it keeps bringing them back to your attention until you either do something about them or find a way to remember them that doesn't require constant mental reminders. But when you don't have a system for dealing with these reminders, they just keep coming back, getting more insistent each time. Your racing thoughts aren't random, they've learned when and where to show up based on your habits. If you've ever spent time thinking or worrying while lying in bed, your brain has learned to associate your bed with thinking time. You've accidentally trained your mind to treat your bedroom as a conference room for problems. The same thing happens with other places and situations. If you always worry while sitting in a specific chair, or if you do your deepest thinking in the shower, your brain starts to expect that mental activity in those spaces. This is why racing thoughts seem to have a mind of their own. They don't just happen randomly throughout the day. They tend to show up in specific situations, at specific times, in specific places. Your mind has learned to pair certain environments with certain types of thinking. Understanding this is actually empowering, because it means you can retrain these associations. Now let's talk about what you can do about it. The first technique is the worry window, and it's going to change how you handle racing thoughts. Get a small notepad or use your phone's notes app and title it Worry Window. When a racing thought pops up, instead of thinking it through right then, write down a one-line summary. If your brain starts spiraling about a presentation, write Presentation Prep Concerns. Just a quick headline. Then, and this is the crucial part, you tell that thought, not now. I'll deal with you at 7:30, or whatever time you choose for your worry window. Every single day at the same time, you sit down with your list for exactly 15 minutes. No more, no less. You go through each item and sort it into one of 3 categories: action, information I need, or let it be. If it's an action, Either do the smallest step right then if it takes less than 2 minutes, or schedule when you'll do it. If you need information, figure out how to get it. If it's something you can't control, let it be. The magic is that this gives your racing thoughts a place to go. Instead of circling endlessly in your mind, they get captured and dealt with systematically. The second technique breaks the association between your bed and racing thoughts. If you're lying there and your mind won't quiet down for more than 15 or 20 minutes, you get up. Not to check your phone or watch TV, but to do something calm in dim lighting. Read a few pages of a paper book, do a simple puzzle, or stretch gently. The key is that it needs to be boring enough that your mind doesn't get stimulated, but engaging enough that you're not just lying there thinking. Only go back to bed when you actually feel sleepy. Not tired, but sleepy. There's a difference. Tired is when your body feels heavy and you want to lie down. Sleepy is when your eyelids are actually getting heavy and you feel like you could drift off. You're retraining your brain's association with your bed. Right now, it might be paired with thinking, planning, worrying, or problem solving. You want to pair it only with sleeping. This might feel inconvenient at first, especially on nights when you get up multiple times. But stick with it. You're literally rewiring your brain's understanding of what your bedroom is for. The third technique addresses thoughts that keep popping up because they feel urgent when they're not. Think of racing thoughts like browser bookmarks, except they're mental bookmarks. Every time you have an important thought, instead of diving into it completely, just bookmark it. Say to yourself, bookmark, figure out weekend plans, or bookmark, call about that bill. You're acknowledging the thought and promising to come back to it later. Use your worry window for dealing with these bookmarks later. What this does is break the cycle of thoughts that feel urgent but aren't actually time-sensitive. Most racing thoughts have this false sense of urgency. They feel like they need to be figured out right now, this very second, but they really don't. By creating mental bookmarks, you're training your brain to recognize the difference between truly urgent thoughts that need immediate attention and important thoughts that can wait for a designated time. These techniques work because they address the root causes, not just symptoms. Instead of trying to force your mind to be quiet, which makes thoughts race faster, you're giving them structure and direction. The worry window gives your unfinished thoughts a place to go so they stop pestering you throughout the day. Sleep space control retrains your environment to support calm instead of chaos. Mental bookmarking helps you recognize which thoughts actually need attention and which ones just feel urgent. Most importantly, these techniques put you back in control. Instead of feeling like a victim of your own mind, you become the manager of your thoughts. You decide when to think about things, where to think about them, and how much mental energy to give them. It might take a few weeks to see the full effect, but most people notice a difference within just a few days. If you struggle with racing thoughts, there's nothing wrong with you. Your brain isn't broken. Racing thoughts are actually a sign that your brain is working really hard to take care of you. It's trying to solve problems, prevent mistakes, and keep you safe. These techniques aren't about stopping your brain from thinking. They're about channeling that mental energy in a helpful direction. You're not suppressing thoughts, you're organizing them. Think of it like having papers scattered on your desk versus having them filed in organized folders. The papers are still there, but now your workspace feels calm instead of chaotic. The goal isn't to never have another racing thought. The goal is to feel like you're in control of your mental space instead of being controlled by it. So here's what I want you to do. Start with just one technique. Pick the worry window, the sleep technique, or mental bookmarking. Don't try to implement everything at once. Practice one for a week, notice what changes, then add another if you want to. And when you start to feel that shift happening, and you're finally coming up for air instead of drowning in your own mind, drop surface in the comments so we know you made it. Your thoughts don't have to be your master. With the right tools, you can learn to be the master of your thoughts.